Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Daily English Conversations. Today, we are practicing how to discuss a travel experience in natural English. This lesson is for B2 upper intermediate learners. You will hear two friends talking about a recent trip, but the focus is not only on travel vocabulary. The real goal is to practice storytelling. Good travel stories often use past tenses, time markers, descriptions, reactions, follow-up questions, and polite recommendations. In this conversation, the speakers talk about where they went, what surprised them, what they enjoyed, and what advice they would give to a friend. Notice phrases like, "What stood out to you?" "I wasn't expecting." "What I liked most was," and "I'd recommend." These phrases help you sound more natural and thoughtful. Listen for how the friends keep the conversation balanced. One person shares details, and the other person asks questions, reacts, and shows interest. Let's start the conversation. "Hey, I saw a few of your travel photos last week. They looked amazing. Where did you go?"
I went to a small coastal town for 4 days. It was a quiet place, but that was exactly what I needed.
That sounds relaxing. Was it your first time there?
Yes, it was. I had heard about it from a friend, but I didn't know much before I arrived.
So what was your first impression?
Honestly, I was surprised by how calm it felt. The streets were narrow, the houses were colorful, and there were flowers outside almost every little shop.
That sounds beautiful. Did it feel touristy or more local?
A bit of both, actually. Near the beach, there were many visitors, but if you walked 10 minutes away, it felt much more local and peaceful.
I like places like that. You can enjoy the main sights, but still find quiet corners.
Exactly. On the first afternoon, I walked without a plan. I just followed the small streets and stopped whenever something looked interesting.
That's often the best way to explore. Did you get lost?
A little, but in a good way. I ended up near a tiny bakery that I probably wouldn't have found with a map.
Nice. What did you try there?
I had a warm pastry with fruit inside and a cup of coffee. It was simple, but it tasted incredible after the long walk.
Now I want to go there. What stood out to you most on the first day?
The slower pace. Nobody seemed to be rushing, and that changed my mood almost immediately.
What did you do after the first day? Did you plan activities, or did you keep it flexible?
I kept it fairly flexible. I had a short list of places I wanted to see, but I didn't want the trip to feel like a schedule.
That makes sense. Sometimes a strict plan can make a holiday feel like work.
Exactly. On the second morning, I visited a local market. It opened early, so I went before breakfast.
What was it like?
Busy, colorful, and full of smells. There were fresh fruits, bread, flowers, and small food stalls. People were chatting with the sellers, and it felt very lively.
Did you buy anything?
I bought some fruit and a small handmade notebook. The seller wrapped it carefully and told me it was made by a local artist.
That's a nice souvenir. It has a story behind it.
Yes, and that's why I liked it. Later, I joined a short walking tour. The guide explained the history of the old harbor and pointed out details I would have missed.
What kind of details?
For example, some of the doors had old symbols above them. They showed what kind of work the family used to do, like fishing or baking.
That's fascinating. It makes the town feel more alive.
Really did. In the evening, I tried a small restaurant near the water. The food was fresh, but what I liked most was the atmosphere.
How would you describe it?
Warm and informal. The tables were close together, people were talking quietly, and the staff were friendly without being too formal.
Did anything disappoint you?
Only one thing. The main beach was more crowded than I expected, especially in the afternoon.
That's useful to know. Did you find a quieter place?
Yes. A local person suggested a smaller beach about 20 minutes away. It was much better for reading and relaxing.
If I went there, what would you recommend doing first?
I'd recommend arriving without too many plans on the first day. Just walk around and get a feeling for the town.
That's good advice. What should I avoid?
I wouldn't say avoid, but I would be careful about eating right next to the busiest beach. Some places were fine, but the smaller streets had better food and better prices.
That's a practical tip. Did you need to book restaurants in advance?
For the popular places, yes. I booked one dinner the day before. And I'm glad I did because it was full by 7.
What about transportation? Was it easy to get around?
Very easy on foot. I only used a taxi once when I had my suitcase. Most of the time, walking was the best option.
Would the trip be good for someone who likes museums and cultural activities?
Yes, but only for a short stay. There were a few small museums and historical sites, but I think the town is better for slow travel than for a packed cultural itinerary.
That's a helpful distinction.
Also, I'd recommend going in the morning if you want good photos. The light was softer, and the streets were less crowded.
You sound like a travel guide now.
Maybe, but I learned by making small mistakes. On the first evening, I went out too late and couldn't get a table at the restaurant I wanted.
That's a very real travel lesson.
Exactly. Travel advice is often just someone else's small mistake turned into a useful tip.
I like that. What phrase would you use to summarize the whole trip?
I would say it was peaceful, memorable, and better when I stopped trying to do everything.
That is a great summary. Excellent work today. You listened to a B2 conversation about discussing a travel experience. Let's review the key vocabulary and phrases. Coastal town, first impression, touristy, local, peaceful, flexible, handmade, walking tour, atmosphere, crowded, practical tip, book in advance, get around, itinerary, and summarize. You also heard natural storytelling phrases like, what stood out to you? I wasn't expecting. What I liked most was, I'd recommend. And that's a helpful distinction. These phrases help you move beyond short answers and build a real conversation. When you tell your own travel story, try this simple structure. Where you went, why you went, what surprised you, what you enjoyed, what was difficult, and what you would recommend. That structure makes your story clear and easy to follow. If you found this lesson useful, please subscribe to Daily English Conversations for more friendly, practical English lessons. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.